Hello everyone, welcome to NCERT 6 to 10 class in short. Today we will be discussing the first chapter of grade 7 history, tracing changes through 1,000 years. We will be discussing about medieval period in India in this textbook. Let's recall what we have learned already. Historians get information about the past through different means. They rely on coins, inscriptions, architecture, and textual records to gain information. Historians face many challenges while learning about the past. While examining the maps, as the science of cartography was different in different periods, they looked dissimilar. We have made a comparison of two maps drawn by Al-Idrisi and the second one by a French cartographer in the beginning of the chapter. The languages used for writing were different in different periods. The difference exists not only in grammar and vocabulary but also in the meanings of the words. The same word may be used with different meanings at different periods. Paper became cheaper during the 14th century and hence historians depended more on textual records to learn about the past. Records may be revised at times. This again became a challenge as historians may be unaware of the first original edition written by the original author. A large scale and variety of developments occurred during the period of 700 to 1700 CE. New technologies like Persian wheel, spinning wheel, and firearms appeared during this period. New food items like potatoes, corn, chilies, tea, and coffee also arrived on the subcontinent. Along with the social, economic, political, and cultural developments, a greater number of people started to travel in search of opportunities for getting a job too. Rajputs were a group of people who became popular during those times. Later, the name was applied to a group of warriors who claimed Kshatriya caste status. Other groups like Marathas, Sikhs, Jats, Ahoms, and Kayasthas also became politically important during this time. There was a gradual clearance of forest into agrarian lands. Forest dwellers migrated somewhere, but some among them became peasants and became a part of the larger complex societies of those periods. There arose significant social and economic differences among the peasants. As societies became more differentiated, people were grouped into jatis or subcastes. Subcastes framed many rules and regulations which the people had to follow. Besides, people had to follow the rules of the village chieftains too. Large states like Cholas, Tughlaqs, and Mughals encompassed many regions. As per Sanskrit Prashasti, Ghiyasuddin Balban was the ruler of a vast empire stretching from Bengal, Gauda in the east to Ghazni, Gajjana in Afghanistan in the west, including South India, the Dravida. Historians regard these as exaggerated claims of conquest and conclude that these claims were done to exhibit the power of the dynasty. In 1318, poet Amir Khusro noted the different languages of the subcontinent. Sindhi, Lahori, Kashmiri, Dwarsamudri, Telangani, Gujarati, Mahabari, Gaudi, Awadhi, and Hindavi were the prominent languages noted by Amir Khusro. Besides this, there was the Sanskrit language which did not belong to any of these regions. Dynasties like Tughlaqs, Mughals, Khaljis, and Cholas had extended pan-regions. The 1,000 years of history that we are exploring had witnessed major developments in religious traditions. Major changes like the worship of new deities, the construction of temples by royalty, and the growth of Brahmins as the superior power of the society occurred in Hinduism. Brahmins were highly supported by the patrons. Bhakti was emerged during this period. These were the major religious changes occurred in Hinduism. Islam also had its emergence during this period in the Indian subcontinent. There were Shia Muslims as well as Sunni Muslims. Besides, there were different schools too, like Hanafi and Shafi'i in India. Holy Quran was widely accepted during this period in India. Thus, besides Hinduism, Islam also emerged during the period of 700 to 1750 CE. Now let's move on to the last portion of this chapter, thinking about time and historical periods. Historians made the study of time somewhat easier by dividing time into larger segments, that is periods, that possess shared characteristics. In the middle of the 19th century, British historians divided the history of India into three: Hindu, Muslim and British. This division was based on the idea that the religion of rulers was the only important historical change and that there were no other significant developments in the economy, society or culture. Such a division also ignored the rich diversity of the subcontinent. Few historians follow this periodization today, that is Hindu, Muslim, British periodization. Most historians look to economic and social factors to characterize the major elements of different moments of the past. After all, the 16th and 18th centuries were quite different from the 8th or 11th. The term medieval period is often contrasted with the modern period. Modernity carries with it a sense of material progress and intellectual advancements. During these 1,000 years, the societies of the subcontinent were transformed often, and economies in several regions reached a level of prosperity that attracted the interest of European trading companies. Thus, European trading companies started their trading here in India. Thus, that's the end of our first chapter. We will be beginning another chapter in the next video. Thank you.